I read the news today, oh boy, yes, vinyl is back. I've been hearing that vinyl is back for over 30 years. Vinyl is back. Yeah, and more proof that vinyl is back is this phono preamp I'm about to review. It's made by a company called MODWRIGHT, or a US company. They build their stuff here. And the model is the PH 9.0X, which is, as you might assume, the upgraded version of the original PH 9.0, which is still available. Before I get into the details, I was about to say weeds. Before I get into the details of the product itself, I just have to talk a little bit about vinyl. And that is when I listen to it. I listen to it all the time for pleasure, but when I listen to it for a review, I'm always thinking it communicates music in a different way than digital does. Different, well, maybe even better in terms of feeling engaged by the music. I do. Now, I'm not saying that that's true for everybody, and I'm not saying that if you've been a vinyl holdout up to this point, that you just got to jump in because it's going to change your life. I'm not going that far. I'm not. I respect you, digital people. Sure, digital is fantastic. It's better than it ever was. But so is vinyl, and so is analog. Hey, you've gotten this far. So even if you're a digital person, you're open-minded because you're watching a review of a phono preamp. So anyway, it is a two-box affair, meaning there's the actual preamplifier itself and then a separate power supply, a big, chunky power supply with a hefty toroidal transformer. But under the hood of the preamp itself, and let's take a peek inside, you'll see there are 4 tubes, a pair of 6C45s. Those are doing the first gain stage. Then you'll see there's a second set of tubes. There's our 6922s, and they do the second gain stage and also buffer. That's what they do. But, you know, the parts look great. Build quality internally is really top-notch. So when you look in the front, you'll see 2 big knobs. And you know how I feel. You regular viewers of the Audiophiliac Daily Show know how I feel about knobs. That is, I'm into knob feel. The knob on the left is the input selector, goes between moving magnet and moving coil. But the knob on the right is the impedance selector for the moving coil. And these are the values that it switches between. But the thing is, to tell you the truth, first of all, you can use it on the fly, meaning while the music is playing, you can switch between the impedance settings. And on one hand, you think, wouldn't you just find the best setting and just leave it there once you install a new cartridge, you find out what the best impedance setting is and you're done? Yeah, you could, and then it wouldn't need to be on the front. But since it's in the front, just begging to be turned, I use it all the time, essentially, kind of, to tell you the truth, as a tone control. I would listen to a bright record, and I'd say, let me see what I can do about that, and I'd tweak a little bit, and I could reduce some of that glare. So I used it, yeah, as a tone control. It's not a huge difference, but it's definitely there. So why not use it? So the upgrade itself, the upgrade between the 9.0 and the X version, comes down to a hefty set of Lundell transformers. Those transformers feed both the balanced XLR output and also the RCA output. And the transformers replace the parts that are in the 9.0, they replace the chokes and also coupling capacitors. So now the 9.0X is much closer to the sound of MODWRIGHT's flagship phono preamp, the PH150. On my turntable for this review as my reference, it's the SME15 turntable with an SME5 arm and an Ortofon Cadenza Blue moving coil cartridge. But in terms of the music itself and what I heard, well, you know, Mobile Fidelity sent me this new version of Nielsen Schmielsen. Now, Nielsen, if you missed out on Nielsen, died a while back. He was a pop singer from the 60s and 70s, and I guess into the 80s, and he had an incredible voice, just big range, big voice, and was very versatile. He could do anything. He could scream, he could croon, he had it all. But the thing that he didn't do was he didn't tour. He did not have a band, and he didn't go on the road. He just focused on studio work and made a series of many, many, many great records. And then most of them sounded really good. So this track, Jump Into the Fire, is a rocker. And Herbie Flowers plays bass. And on this version, this mobile fidelity version, his bass sounds like it's about to burst through the speakers. The 15-inch woofers on the Cornwall were being put to really good use because it just jumped. It had that texture, that power, that roar to it that was just blew me away. And the rest of the band, Jim Gordon's playing drums, or is it Jim Keltner? And drumming was amazing. And of course, Schmielsen was amazing himself, Nielsen. But it just was one of those take over the room kind of sounds. And again, I'm thinking, does this ever happen with digital? Not quite like this. This is a Sly and the Family Stone record. It doesn't say the name of the band or the name of the album on the cover. This came out in 1970. It's called There's a Riot Going On. And it's a clean break from everything that came before with Sly and the Family Stone. It's not a funk record like the others. It's more introspective. It churns more. And for some reason or other, I had mostly been playing the CD version of this record over the years. And then as I was looking through my records, I said, there it is, the vinyl version. I got to play it, especially now on the 9.0X. And it kind of just simmers. It's a simmering record. And Sly is just, I think he did a lot of the music, played a lot of the instruments himself on this record, and he's using a very early, very primitive drum machine to do these complex beats, or complex to me as a non-drummer. And as you listen deeper, there's so much going on. Oh, what an amazing recording. So if you just know Sly from the hits, check out this one, There's a Riot Going On. So I wanted to spend some time comparing the RCA output to the XLR outputs. And that was a pretty easy one because the XLR outputs had more meat on the bones. The sound was solidified more over the XLR outputs. Of course, if you don't have a preamp with XLR inputs, you're going to use the RCA, and the RCA sounded really, really good. And to tell you the truth, I think I did most of my listening with the RCA outputs because I assume that's what the majority of people have. But when I moved up to the XLR outputs, the upgrade was definitely worthwhile because there was just more there with the XLRs. You know this one, right? This is the Pixies Doolittle record. And This Monkey's Gone to Heaven, yes it has. But they were brilliant. They were just so melodic and rhythmically intense. And Frank Black, what an incredible singer. I mean, wait, this is the 90s actually, right? But just a great rock singer. And this recording is really good. Dense mixes, great reverb, great use of reverb, I should say. Wonderful, wonderful record. Now, at this point, I decided to compare the 9.0X to my reference, which is a Vanden Hull Grail. It's the name of the preamp, and that's a solid-state preamp. And it was, first of all, quieter. I could definitely hear just more deeply into the sound with. It's a much more expensive preamp. I believe the current price is about $9,000, so it's not a fair comparison. That's what I used. And so it was quieter backgrounds, tighter bass, the usual suspects, but it's just a cleaner sounding presentation. And with a really densely mixed record like Doolittle, that the enhanced clarity / transparency of the Vanden Hull was readily apparent, absolutely. So, but tubes and analog, they kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly. So analog is not about the search for perfection. Not to me, at least. I think it's a search for getting closer and closer to the music, feeling more from the music. That's what analog is about, for me. Of course, this is a very subjective, very personal call. Because I'm sure people on the other side of the ledger could say, I get all that from digital. And if you do, you're good. Congratulations. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying we each hear music differently, and we want different things out of the sound of recorded music. So sometimes, over the course of a review, I like to pick recordings that aren't so great and see how the product under review handles recordings that I don't like. I like the music. I wouldn't just play a recording because it doesn't sound good. I'd play a recording that I like the music, but the sound is kind of iffy. So for this time, I picked this one. This is Thelonious Monk's Blues. Now, this is a big band record, recorded in Hollywood. I don't think he liked recording in Hollywood, and he was a New York cat, so to speak. And I don't think he was into big bands, but maybe his record company made him do it. But it's arranged by Oliver Nelson. It's actually good music, but it's been a hard record for me to listen to because it sounds kind of thin, and I don't know, it just doesn't engage me. So I played it, and the tubes warmed it up, gave it some juice that it doesn't usually have. You know, and sometimes I'd feel like Monk, yeah, I think he's connecting now. I feel him like, okay, I'm here in Hollywood, I'm doing it. Yeah, this is fun, I'm working it out. I had that feeling. Of course, this is all in my head. I have no idea what was going on with Monk personally at that point. But it's, you know, it's about me. I'm the listener in this equation. What am I getting out of this music? And I feel this, I'm easing up. I'm easing up on my ambivalence about this recording, and I'm digging it. And I think the 9.0X was making that happen. So I think if you've gotten this far into this review, you must like records, at least a little bit. I made you perhaps vinyl curious. Is that possible? Maybe you're thinking, yeah, maybe I gotta check out what this whole vinyl thing is all about. Well, if that's what's going on, I'm thrilled if I put you over some sort of threshold to consider checking out what's going on with vinyl. Anyway, what's going on is this has been a review of the MODWRIGHT PH 9.0X tube phono preamplifier. Yes, it is. And you know what else? My name is Steve Guttenberg, and this continues to be the Audiophiliac Daily Show. If you like what I'm doing here, please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. We just passed 187,000 subscribers. Getting there. It's slowing down, I gotta say. I need some more help from you guys to get to 200,000 sometime this summer. Probably like July or August, something like that. 200,000. Wow. But anyway, you could also, beyond subscribing, you could check out my Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/audiophiliac. You can follow me on Twitter at audiophiliacman, and on Instagram and IGTV at steve.guttenberg. While you're here, yes, you can check out more component reviews and speaker reviews and headphone reviews and even music reviews. But to tell you the truth, I'm doing fewer and fewer music reviews because I'm sort of incorporating the music reviews into the gear reviews. That's my change of late. And now I can say my work here is at last complete. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.